Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to Book Study. We are on, is it week 6? Is it chapter 6? It's the one on attitude. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Yes, Michelle, that's exactly it right there. I'm excited to help lead this one, or actually lead this one and have you guys add all of your insights and all of your things to it because we are, again, expecting that you have read the chapter and you are just coming here to share what you are learning from it, what are you grabbing from it to help you develop your leadership. Um, so my very first question is, have you ever, you don't need to answer this. Just put your hand up if you have ever done this, okay? Have you ever told your kids to have a better attitude while you have a nasty one? Just curious. Or like even your tone as you're telling them is like not a nice attitude tone. It makes me think of like how we lead our teams sometimes, where we're like, oh, I just wish they would like show up or like, and you're just like have all these like negative feelings about them or wish they would be different and better, and you're just like sulking about it, like while you're thinking about it and talking about it. And it just makes me laugh because it's so relatable of how we are, how us humans are. It's just how we do things. But when you can be aware of it, you can change it very easily and quickly. It's one of those things that you can flip on a dime if you need to. I'm actually not going to be thinking this way. I'm actually not going to have this attitude. I am the fastest way I found to change it is gratitude, noticing the things around you that you can be grateful for and what's there, what you're lacking or what you're thinking of blaming. But who loved the story of the teachers that got these, was it 90 brilliant students given to them? You guys are the three most brilliant. Go ahead, Brittany. I see you were trying to talk. Do you want to unmute? The three most brilliant teachers got 90 of the most brilliant students to work with. They're like, this is going to be amazing. Everybody's going to be amazing. And they were amazing. I don't remember the details, was like 25% more productivity and more everything because they were just the best group, only to find out later that the students were average and the teacher's like, whoa, we did amazing work with our average students. Wow, amazing like experiment you did. Actually, you guys also were just average teachers picked out of a hat. You guys also weren't brilliantly amazing top tier teachers, but because they expected to be great because they were told they were great. That's the same thing that happens like in our brains and our minds when we have the right attitude about who we are, what we do, why we do it. It changes things. It's like that one person on your team who's like, they don't even really know what they're doing, but they have like the best attitude about it, and somehow everything they do works. That kind of thing. Okay, let's go to our first question that I actually want to hear from you guys. Unmute and hear what you guys think. Okay, so John Maxwell says a good attitude doesn't always change the situation, but it always changes you. So just that quote is interesting because just changing your attitude, you don't need to expect that suddenly magically everything will be different that you're trying to make different, but you yourself will be different. And that changes your atmosphere already. Maxwell teaches that the attitude is the inner victory before it becomes an outer one. Even when circumstances don't move, you become stronger, clearer, and more grounded as your attitude shifts. So, question, what is something in your life or business that would feel totally different if you changed how you were showing up? What is an example of a place that would feel different if you decided to show up differently?
Can we have multiple choice?
I have an answer.
Okay.
I have an answer. I think retention is an area that when we decided to show up differently, by show up differently, I mean ask Abby, thankfully, to help us head up revamping our retention system. But when we just decided to approach retention with a can-do attitude, Brittany asked a question the other day. She was like, if we were excellent at this, what would we do then? And I was like, that is such a good question. If we were going to be excellent, we would do this and that. And it wasn't about retention, it was about something else. But like our brains, like at this point, it's just like, okay, but if we were excellent, we might be terrible at whatever, but if we were excellent, what would we do? And so that's kind of how Abby approached retention. Like, okay, if we are going to provide stellar customer service, what would we do? And if we were going to provide it in a way that somebody brand new could come in and also do it, how would that look? And so I think retention is an area that I chronically can have a bad attitude. Not a bad attitude, more of just like an ignore it attitude. And then
Yeah,
it festers and it's a problem and
like if I go into retention with an attitude of they're gonna be detoxing, like they're gonna say something I don't want to hear. They're gonna say they probably want their subscription off. Like most likely that's what they're gonna want to do. But then I miss out on the actual like I'll actually not even want to do it or probably not do it if I'm thinking that. But if I'm thinking and have the attitude of expecting something great, knowing that it won't always be that way, but expecting something good will come because our products are amazing. What we do is amazing. You don't miss out on the stories that you go and actually ask people for their stories. What has been happening for you on the products? That's really big part of retention, is like expecting their stories to be great, even if it takes time. That's my example for the retention one, Christina.
yeah.
Brittany, did you have one? Or anyone else? It's not just us on here.
Yeah, I have a couple. I mean, because this whole chapter, it's basically your thoughts and your feelings. That's what comprises your attitude. What if your attitude is people don't want to spend money this time of year? Then you're not going to be recruiting. If your
Yeah.
attitude is I don't have what it takes to lead people, or I'm not a Julie yet, or I'm not this, then you're not going to be wanting to lead people in terms of the business. But if you think I know exactly where I'm going and I'm going to figure it out and I can lead people, or people are ready to spend money and their wallets are open, you're going to be messaging people from a different posture. So it all goes back to what we're thinking and believing in every area of your business.
That's good.
I was gonna say there's so many, but the one that I'll talk about tonight is just tracking, like actually tracking what I'm doing because I don't have any data to sit down with and say, is what I'm doing working? Am I doing a good job at what I'm doing? Do I need to change something? Unless I'm actually keeping track of what I'm doing. Um, so that's definitely one area that, and my attitude about it, like Christina said, it's not necessarily a bad attitude. It's just like, don't really want to do that. I'll just think about it instead, and then I'll think of a new way to do the. Whereas if I just actually track what it is I'm doing, then at the end of the month or the quarter, I have something to look back on to see um, where something needs to change instead of just changing it every day.
Very relatable.
I think social media can be a thing that we can show up to with a certain attitude of maybe obligation instead of, serving or connecting or just having fun.
Mm. That's a good one.
I also think, Eva, when it comes to your attitude and knowing that it's not necessarily going to change the circumstances around you, it's just realizing that you can change how you experience the circumstances. And there's a situation in my life this week that I can't change the circumstances, but how I've been choosing to experience them has not been very becoming. And it's affecting how other people are experiencing things. And so reading this chapter was kind of convicting, like, get over it, you sad sack. Like you can't control anything else, but this inner circle you can control, and you've done a terrible job. So it's like, okay, immediate correction. Like, and so then I have to like thumb my head, like, wait, what, how am I supposed to do this? I know I'm supposed to now, but can you tell me how to do it, John? And so that was helpful. But I think like you said, sometimes we think if we're helpless to change the environment or even the experience, that we think somehow we can't impact how we experience it. And that is not true.
Hmm.
I don't know why they're all talking to me right now, but they are. Sarah. Anyway, and what Brittany said there, I just had an experience with that recently. So I went to Jewel School and I got kind of sad there because I felt like there were people, I was very happy to be there. Don't get me wrong. But the part that I was sad about is that I wasn't sharing with my team like I wanted to be. And then I started a little bit, and there's a backstory on that. But I'm coming to a point. So I had to remove some things that I had posted just because of the dynamic in the situation. And I got like really like this, what in the world? Can I even do this? This is ridiculous. With my where I'm at in life, and they aren't understanding and all the things. And then I came home and God said, just love them and be enthused. That's all I need from you. And I'm like, well, I can do that. I love Plexus. This is awesome. Like, he put me here for a reason, and I want to do this. And he said, leave the rest to me. That's all you got to do is be enthused, love them, leave the rest to me. Easy peasy, right? Deal with this. And we got it, you guys. That's all for now.
I am always smiling whenever Carol talks because that's her always, her amazing attitude. Thank you for sharing that.
I would like to share something, and I'm getting over being sick, so I sound funny, but my thought goes immediately to if we have a victim attitude, if I have a victim mindset and my attitude is always focused on me, what am I getting from this? What am I not getting from this? If I'm showing up, and I've done this before, so this is from learning from not doing this, then I'm constantly going to see things through that lens. And like, you can begin to think somebody's out to get me, and somebody doesn't like my post, and that person doesn't think this, and they're thinking this about me or whatever, right? Instead, I should position myself from how can I offer? How can I give? How can I add value? And the Lord has been really speaking to me about this. Like, how can I show up to make those people feel this way? And I'm talking about in church, in other situations, not just with business, but however I show up, not just to get, but to give. Then I'm not going to be looking through that lens of what didn't happen. And that can be from our posting to chats to cross people, and the way that, comparison, whatever. If my attitude is constantly, everybody else gets something and I don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's really going to ruin the way that I go and doing my work, and the way I'm showing up is not going to be the same. And I had to have a complete mind reset again in this area with something that I was doing, that I was beginning to let the enemy sow seeds in my mind because of my own insecurity. And I had to repent of that and be like, man, what am I doing? And literally have a different mindset about it. And I completely felt different after that.
On
That
the
actually-
on a positive note of how our attitude does make a difference in how we show up and stuff, I really, really struggled for the longest time with worrying that people would think I was only coming from a place of wanting to make money. Oh, I just want your money. Or say I offered a larger combo or anything like that. It's like, oh, you just want more money. And I really struggled with that for a long, long time. And so that was one thing that I was really actively working on. And the other day I had an older local lady that just wanted to try the sleep gummies. And so I said, you know what? I said, why don't we just get you a bottle of those and let you try them? And so we went through the whole thing. I didn't bother with an account, and I just showed her that I cared. And a couple days in, I'm like, hey, how's it going? This and that. And she's like, well, and she was telling me a little more. And so I gave her a couple tips, and she's like, thank you so much for caring. And it just confirmed that it matters how I view myself and my own thought patterns as to how they will view me. And it was just, I don't know, it felt good.
You're so good at that, Lori. She's retention queen. I need to get her on video for retention. She's amazing at it. Okay, let's go with another question. So John says, you are the only person responsible for your attitude. Your attitude is one of the few things in life that you have complete control over. It reminds us that leaders lose their power the moment they start blaming others for how they feel and act. That is a really strong statement right there. You as a leader lose your power when you start blaming other people for how you act or how you feel. Question. Where have you been blaming other people or are currently blaming other people or circumstances or things or whatever for an attitude that you actually need to own? Who's going to be brave?
I blamed 2 under 2.5 for a whole lot of things. Like literally, I would talk to Christina or I would listen to Brittany or Fallon or, any of these people that have like 200 kids. And I'm like, how do they do anything? Like, I don't understand. And they're like, time block. And I'm like, do you understand if I write down what I'm doing in 30 minutes? Like, my kid is going to projectile vomit. They're going to immediately start melting down. Like, whatever I'm doing in that 30 minutes, like, that's the 30 minutes they're dying. Like, I just felt like I couldn't do any of the things they were telling me to do because of my littles. And I just honestly, like, I think I spiraled one day. I was like, like hit rock bottom. And I'm like, if they can, I can. I mean, like, Brenda has 11 kids? I mean, if you can build this with 11 kids, please tell me why I cannot handle 2. Like, and I just decided, like, if they can, I can. And I started implementing small things that seemed super duper minuscule. And like, we're like 6 months into it, and I don't have my life together, but I am far closer to having it together because I just stopped blaming something I can't control what a 2-year-old does. I mean, I don't think they can control what they do, but I can control how I'm going to handle it and how I plan my day around it. And then recently, Christina started the 30 for 30, and like, who's not up at 5:30 in the morning? My 2-year-old. So I can do whatever I want to do at 5:30 in the morning. I just have to want it bad enough to get up at 5:30 in the morning.
I'm curious, Jessa, if the solutions to your problem or like the systems that you figured out for your problem came before the attitude shift or afterwards.
Definitely after. Like, I literally, I don't know if it was necessarily an attitude shift at first. Like, I think it was kind of desperation maybe, but it led the attitude shift because I was just like I had a day that was so bad that I felt like I can't be serving my children as a stay-at-home mom when I like this is not a good day for me or them. Nothing went well that day. It was just chaos. And my kids are very, very well behaved. Like just for the record, like they're very well behaved. But my attitude was bad that day. Theirs was that day. Everything that could did, and it was just bad. And I'm like, there has got to be a better way. If these people are homesteading and building businesses and homeschooling and doing all the things on top of what I'm doing. I mean, we do have a small homestead, but it's not to the capacity of other people's. And I'm not homeschooling yet because they're 2 and 4. So like I just decided like they can do it. I have to be able to find a way to not let this be what happens in our household. And so, I mean, it literally started with meal planning, like not meal prepping, just writing all of our meals down and making sure everything was in my pantry for all of those meals on Sunday. Takes like 30 minutes. It changed my life. Like that 30 minutes on Sunday gave me back like 14 hours during the week and so much more brain space. And I kind of kept trickling it down from there. And now my household runs 100% happier all day long.
I love that. Okay, if anyone missed the question, I'm just going to repeat it quick. Where have you been blaming people, or other situations for an attitude that you actually need to own? Thanks for being brave, Jessa.
I'll go. So I'm the opposite end of that. Last year around this time, my mother-in-law came down to visit, and we actually moved her to Georgia in February. So I was blaming her, the time spent with her, the energy that that I claimed that it took. I think in looking back, I think I used that as an excuse, because I projected what I felt she needed from me. There's nobody she doesn't even live with me. She lives 3 miles down the road. So it's different than little babies. It was just what I felt was needed at that time. So I blamed that situation for why I wasn't able to do what I needed to do. And it took, fabulous mentors to go, to think, that wasn't true, that if other, like Jessica said, if others could, I could. And I just had to want it. I had to, to do the planning and to do the mental work to not put that in my head. So it was my thoughts and what I felt was needed that was in my way. The attitude had to shift. And that was a good 6 to 9 months in the making. It was not fast.
I can relate to slow shift, I think, in my attitude. Um, First, I feel like I was blaming my career and being a principal and an administrator and being in a 4K through 12th grade building and having to be at all of, I feel like, the events, and then being like, well, looking at all of our upline of who I have to follow, like you can't have a career and be a jewel at the same time. And so I would let that hinder, even though outside of our, freedom team, there's other people, but everybody who I looked up to, they were at that point where they didn't have to. So, I would blame that. And then from there, then I got sick with breast cancer stuff. And that's been like the last 2 years. So then I was like, I can do this because I've watched other people with that built their business sick. And then, it would just like keep hitting. It was like back and forth. And then, parents passed away and then back, it was just like excuse. I don't want to say excuse because there's circumstances, but I was like using that not as a pillar, but to use it to get down. And I really had to take ownership of that and just like, nope, there are plenty of other examples of career people who are diamond or jewels. It went back to the nope, there have been other people who have lost loved ones and they took this and used it to help them get what there. And then there have been other people who are sick who have also built this business. And there was plenty of examples when I really truly looked out there. And so it was really like my own attitude first before diving into that, before going into the work. And now it's been like a 180 since really like I feel like taking that ownership, if that makes sense. I feel like I've always had ownership, but it's just been like a different way. Like I've never blamed anyone else for my business failures. It's always been on myself, if that makes sense. Like I've never ever blamed an upline or sidelines. It's always been like me. And I think then I'm too hard on myself.
So just like shifted into a more no excuse
Yeah.
attitude. But
Yeah.
wow, yeah, you're amazing and so strong.
I want to piggyback off Sarah Marie. I related so much to that last thing she said. When you said, Sarah Marie, that you don't tend to place blame on others, you blame yourself because you take ownership and then you beat yourself up really bad. So I'm sitting here trying to think of like, what have I been blaming for? Or what was that the question, Eva? Like, what have I been blaming for that I need to change my attitude about or something? And honestly, I don't really have a tendency to blame others. I'm sure I do that sometimes, but I was having to dig deep. to think of one because it's not my norm. But what I do struggle with is blaming myself and then having an attitude of feeling like this mountain is too big to climb. How am I gonna overcome this? It feels too big. It feels bigger than I am. And I don't know if I can do it. And so that's what I have to change my attitude about a lot of times. It's a negative attitude. It's not really blaming others. It's can I do it? And like he talks about like am I willing to take the step and pay the price and all that stuff. So yeah, that was relatable what Sarah Marie said.
I think a lot of people could relate to that too. That taking ownership part, but then maybe feeling like you can't do it. But you're not blaming anyone but yourself.
I think one area I used to struggle with this more was when it came to finding business builders, people who wanted the business. It's like, oh, people don't want to do the business. They don't want to share, you know. And when I changed my mentality about it and changed how I posted and how I showed up and everything, guess what? People are much more open to sharing. But currently, I'm like, oh, what do I blame other people for? That's really something I need to take ownership of. It's honestly my attitude with my kids. How many times do I get frustrated with them because it's like, they haven't followed instructions. They haven't done this. They haven't done that. And then I'm just like, just do what you're told. And no, it's me.
That is actually really relatable to me. Like, I feel like my attitude with my kids has been one of the biggest like shifts that I've had to make. And I would say since like last year, Ruby Retreat, somebody there that I was talking to said something about like we were talking about how to get our kids in good routines and like how to make the like if they're not listening, just adjustments that we can make and things like that. And she was like, I can't expect that it's going to take a couple weeks. Like it's probably going to take a year for this stuff to happen. And I was like, you're totally right. Like, why am I putting all this pressure on myself and my kids to make these changes overnight so that I can like move my things in my business or whatever along? Like I can move things faster instead of blaming the circumstance. I want them, I want everything to be perfect around my house, thinking that it would make it easier. And then I was like, after coming home from that, I was like giving myself some grace with it. And I'm like, okay, totally understand. Like, I need to, um, I need to just like give us more time. Like I need to and be okay with the fact that things are always going to change. And when I started thinking of it that way, like then my attitude really started changing towards just my kids and my family in general, just like being more patient with them and myself. And it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders.
And kind of, you just reminded me of something when you said that. And like I've heard several people on my team when they're talking to me about trying to take ownership and trying to do what we're being taught to do. And it was not necessarily blaming someone else, but when you said you wanted everything to be perfect first, more than one girl on my team, it wasn't who they were blaming, it was what. Well, I need a whiteboard. Well, if I got a new calendar, well, if I had a planner, well, when I can afford that new system for customer service or for customer retention. And I finally just stopped one of them one day that's super duper duper capable. Like she is, I've said since she joined, you are a diamond. When you finally figure that out and go, you are a diamond. Like you just got to figure it out. But I looked at her, I'm like, girl, you don't need a new color coded pen or a tablet or anything else. You just need to decide. Like Christina built this thing with a spiral notebook and a pencil, and I still can't figure out that one, but she did. It's her preferred method. She wants to do it that way. You can do it without all that. And when you stop waiting for you to have the tablet or the note board or whatever, it'll start working. And it was like a light bulb for her. She did start actually making progress when she decided that she didn't have to wait for something else to happen.
I'm going to add to that quick, Jessa, because that relates to is your attitude and what you think you can do is actually what you're going to produce. And so when I started working on my attitude and really looked at my days and said, okay, well, today I only have 30 minutes. And if I just did what they told me to do, which quote unquote, I am actually doing what you told me to do from Tennessee, and it works. Like if you just do what you do in the time, and I'm doing more in that 30 minutes than I feel like I've done in the last 2 years of my life. And I was able to create a silver, thanks to Abby's help, because I will have it. But it was my first silver, and
Yay.
I think probably like 3 years, like literally. And it's because I'm just doing the thing in the time. And I need to also understand, like, I'm not going to attract stay-at-home moms, and I'm going to attract people who are working and need to be able to fit this in a short time right now. That's who I attract. But I have to show them that it can be possible. So it's like if I just do it, do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like all of that in a nutshell.
I love how all of these stories are about totally different things, but they all go to attitude. And just like John Maxwell says in the beginning of the chapter, of how you can name a friend you love and admire, you appreciate, they're amazing, and then what's the attribute, what's the characteristic that makes them, why you really like them. And almost, did he say 80% or more fall under that category, the attitude? Like it is a part of your attitude that makes you that way. So I just find it interesting that all of these stories are about totally different things, like excuses, ownership, self-accountability, like responsibility, and so many things, but it's about your attitude about that. So this is very all-encompassing. Did anyone else have one to add on that? I have a next question, if not.
Well, I was trying to think of an example, and then it came to me. For a very long time, I would have said that I don't have the capacity to talk to lots of people, to work with lots of people. That would have been something I just kind of like put that lid there. I just can't. I just don't work that way. And then I started this year asking myself, well, how could I? How could I have more capacity? And wouldn't you know, I figured out a way to do that.
What?
So I just think it's so funny how easily we convince ourselves of our inabilities and our limits. And of course we have limits, and that's why that lie is so deceptive, is because it does feel like, well, we have limits, so it's important to know what your limits are. But I think it's important to, I guess, not just state things, but ask how it could be.
I think that's so good, Sherry.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't blame my capacity. I would sometimes blame my intelligence. Now, I'm not stupid, but I definitely am done better than perfect kind of thing. My brain is not very analytical. Like I don't have any analytical strengths at all. And so I would think that is for really smart people. Like when Britt starts talking about like business systems and metrics and all of this, it's like that who's the little yellow guy? Simpsons. It's like when he disappears into the shrubs. Not only do I not want to participate, I hope that nobody knows that I don't even know what those words mean. Like ROI, return. I have no idea. I know I got some LLCs and some S corps, and that throw it all together, make it alphabet soup. I don't know, and I don't ever want to have to know. And so for sometimes I can think they're gonna all realize one day I am not as intelligent as them, and I just make up for it in sheer, I don't know, humor, I guess. So I would blame an inability to figure something out on my brain doesn't work like yours. And she would be like, that is a freaking cop out. And I'm like, oh, it is? Okay, well, it's worked all these years until now. But just having to realize you absolutely have a responsibility to increase the areas of your strength, but you don't get to just disregard. Like for a long time, I would say, I'm just direct. Like, I'm sorry she got her feelings hurt, but this is just the way I am. And she would be like, no, you have to learn people. And I'm like, okay. So sometimes I think we can blame how we are wired or how we are not wired. And what that becomes is just an excuse and a very limiting one. So
Mm-hmm. That was so good and very relatable. I do that too. I overcompensate on other gifts when I don't have those or feel like I can't get those, like the smartness of certain people, like Brittany. I'm just gonna pick her too. I never feel as smart as Brittany.
I never feel as rich as Eva.
Stop. That cannot be your only attribute you would tie to me.
Well, it comes because
I need to end the
of
Zoom.
the qualities.
Yeah, look at that. It's time to go, guys.
I was thinking, I don't overcompensate for things. I think I just flat out beg for help with no shame. Please help me. Please. Please.
Okay, do we have time for one more quick question? Because this is going to bring us back to being leaders of our team. Okay, people reflect the attitude of their leader. Quote. According to Maxwell, people rarely rise above the emotional tone of the person leading them. So it goes back to like us as parents, us as team leaders. How would we expect a good attitude from our kids if we literally said it in a bad attitude when we requested that of them? Okay, here's a question. If your team copied your attitude that you had this week, would you be proud of your team or would you want to change? You can put this in the chat, or you can unmute and share a story if it comes up. But yeah, we'll only be on here for a few more minutes, but yay, I'm seeing prouds.
I'm dying at Christina's comment. I can honestly say I think I would be proud because it's been some hard things this week, and I I feel like I have tried to keep a positive attitude. Didn't I mean, I think my attitude was very similar to what he was describing in this book, like last week about problem solving, and then this one is just like a whatever it takes kind of attitude. I generally do maintain that. And so I feel proud of that. That's hard fought. I will say that because I've not always been that. That does not come natural to me. I probably learned it from this very book so many years ago and thought that was really I highlight I what's interesting when you read a book that you've already read is seeing what you highlighted before. And there was so much in this that was highlighted and stood out to me. So it obviously was transformational to me at some point as somebody who I am a melancholy personality. So I'm glass half empty by nature. So being positive and seeing opportunities within problems is something that I actually have to be intentional about. But I've learned how to do that. Although I don't do it perfectly.
I see that in you, Brittany. I see you.
Well, thank you.
I see you worrying about stuff, but then also having a good attitude about that. I love all these comments. They're so good. And it's something we can change. We have complete power over changing this in an instant.
And I would like to go on record, Eva, as saying I might not be the most proud if they had my attitude for the last couple of days, but here's what my team's going to take away. The showing up anyway, regardless of the feeling and the attitude. That is what I'm going to leave my team with. So even if I got a no limit soldier attitude, I'm going to show up with it. So I'm going to fix the attitude now that I'm aware. I just need awareness, like immediate correction. But they wouldn't have known I had a bad attitude.
Right. That's a big deal, showing up to these things when you really don't feel like it, or you really don't feel like you even, sometimes you can get down on yourself. You don't even feel like you belong, or you don't feel like you have anything good to give, but you still show up. And it's always, you never regret showing up. Ever. So, okay, I think we're good to go. I mean, I had a whole bunch of more questions. This time goes way too fast. I did not calculate that properly. Thank you guys for sharing everything you shared today. I love these book studies. So we have our next chapter next week. I'm really excited. Let's go. Let's lead our teams with the best attitude possible. Have a great day or night, guys. Love my awkward endings. Bye. Heart.
Thank you, Eva. Bye.